What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Hot List. I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Realty, and I come to y'all at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. We hang out and we talk real estate. We talk questions about real estate, whether it's updating, remodels, maybe you're not sure where to start with questions about real estate. I would love to be the real estate resource that you reach out to and get started with. I love answering your questions, and we not just talk about topics, I also answer a question of the day that is submitted by a listener of the podcast to find out how you could get your question answered. Just stick around till the end and I will get you that information. I do encourage you to make sure that you submit some questions or some real estate topics that you would like to hear or discuss, because if you have that question, others have that question, and this is a great platform in order to do that. So, first and foremost, thank you for letting me talk about this and joining in. Also, I've included in the description a Spotify link as well as an Apple Podcast link so that you can catch up on previous episodes. So today I've got a question of the day that I will be answering, and it's going to deal with fireplaces. So the question of the day: do people update fireplaces? If you have a fireplace, first and foremost, I am jealous because the house that we live in now doesn't have one like the one we lived in before, and we utilize that thing all the time, especially on days like today where in Kansas, 28 degrees, wind is blowing like crazy, and it is just cold. But more often than not, if you have a fireplace, there is a good chance that it's going to draw attention of anybody that visits the house and walks through the room where it's located, which is great if you want your fireplace to be a focal point. However, maybe it's a little less impressive and you might want guests to look somewhere else. Absolutely get that. Maybe there's not significant issues with the fireplace, but it's something that you may not like the way it fits or ties into the house or that specific room. So, what we're going to talk about today is answering the question: do people update fireplaces? The short answer is yes, because there are a number of ways that you can spruce. sorry, that you can spruce up the fireplace in your home and get it in shape that you can show it off and really make it stand out. So some of the options are going to depend on the type of fireplace you have, how you want it to decorate maybe the surrounding room, and still find a way to improve the look of the fireplace that's going to fit your situation or your preferences. So as we get into it, we are going to talk about 3 ways to give your fireplace a facelift. Number 1, updating the surround. This is one of the best ways to change the overall look of the fireplace, is just by simply changing the surround of the fireplace. Now, many bricks, many fireplaces have some type of brickwork or maybe stonework for a surround, and oftentimes this can be covered with tile or even painted to change the appearance of it. Maybe the brick or the stone is just old or dated and needs a facelift. This can simply be fixed with some paint or covering it with tile. With tile, textured and pattern tiles are especially popular. It's really a way to just change that entire surround around the fireplace and makes it look really, really nice. Don't forget that You can also do updates to the tile or brick inside the fireplace. I would just caution that you make sure that the materials that you're going to use are heat safe and fire safe materials. What you'll also see from time to time with the surrounds are some type of wood moldings or even accents on the outside. These are going to be placed around the surround wall, and this really helps spruce up the exterior of the fireplace. Uh, Not to mention that it helps with the look of the fireplace surround. And if you want a better way to blend in the look, sorry, the look of the room, think of using the fireplace mantle or other decorative items to use those to help accent not just the fireplace, but maybe the surrounding room as well. Number 2 on the list, revitalizing the room. So keep in mind when making changes around the fireplace, there's not just one way to make the fireplace stand out. There are multiple ways that you can do this. Changes can be made to the rest of the room that, or rooms, depending on the style of fireplace. And this helps blend the fireplace with the overall design or maybe theme that you have going on for that room. Maybe you want to help accent or choose some certain colors or textures that might otherwise seem out of place. You can do this by using your fireplace or the room that it's in and tie it all together, because furniture and decorative items can also be shifted as well. So, don't just leave the furniture and your decorations where they are. Change them up, move them around a little bit, and see if that will really help take the focus off of some of that furniture and off the room and really put it on the fireplace as the central focal point of that room. And this really allows guests to see the face of the fireplace instead of it being hidden either at the back of the room or maybe behind some furniture. There are some additional changes that you can make as well. Oftentimes you'll see people that will place large painting or picture or some other type of decorative item above the fireplace. This really helps to draw attention to the fireplace. What is also often done is not just the fireplace surround, but the fireplace screen itself. You can update this and it makes the fireplace more appealing. A lot of times, depending on what type of holidays that you celebrate, you can purchase a holiday screen or decorative theme, and that's a nice way to draw more attention to your fireplace. Not to mention, it's an additional safety feature that's just nice to have. And finally, number 3 on the list of updates, a total fireplace makeover. Now, I have not seen this often. I've only seen it a couple times, but so far the suggestions we've talked about have been purely cosmetic. I also assume that the fireplace is in good condition and just needs a little touching up. Now, what happens if the fireplace has damaged bricks or tile? Maybe there's faulty hardware or other type of maintenance that is needed or work that's needed. This means that it's going to be a little bit more in depth, and it's not just going to be a simple facelift. It's going to be one of those that's going to take more time. It's going to take more of an investment. And while most of these can be repaired and incorporate some of what we added and that we already talked about, you can absolutely do that. But again, just keep in mind, if you're doing some type of repair or full makeover, these are going to be more in depth. they're going to be more costly, and they're going to take a lot more time. So you've got to be patient with this, because getting it repaired, uh, again, you can choose to incorporate some of what we've talked about, either with the surround or the tile, the stonework, the brickwork. You can absolutely do that. I would recommend hiring a professional to do this, because more often than not, they've done it more often than you do. They're licensed, they're insured, and again, they have that experience. And with something like this, that experience is really tough to beat. For example, I had one client. We were looking at a house, and it turns out that there was some major damage to not just the surround, but the firebox itself on the inside, and the flue. So what we did is we negotiated the costs, and instead of replacing that entire firebox inside plus the flue, what he decided to do was replace it with an insert. Now, the insert that he chose, I'm sure you guys know there's multiple types of inserts. He actually chose a wood burning insert, uh, just because he still wanted to be able to burn wood in there and be able to heat the house. With choosing an insert, it's not just a decorative piece, but it's going to be functional wood burner as well. And I can tell you, the one that he chose is very, very nice, very beautiful. There's minimal work that had to be done to the firebox with this type of wood burning insert. They actually run a new flue in there, tie it together, so it is safe, it is functional, and these do burn a lot more efficient than what the fireplace does. So a lot more of the heat comes back into the house versus just escapes through the flue. Burns a lot longer, can typically burn hotter, handle some of the hotter woods that you may not be able to burn on a regular basis, which all means that you've got less to worry about and less liability down the road. So I hope that makes sense answering that question. Just to recap real quick, 3 ways to give your fireplace a facelift. Number one is you can update the surround. You can redo it with some type of tile, maybe some paint, whether it's textured or pattern tiles. You can There's always a way that you can update that. Maybe even update the tile or brickwork that's inside. Just make sure that they are heat safe and fire safe as well. Number two, revitalizing the room. So if your room may be the problem and not necessarily the fireplace, just keep in mind it's your house. You can rearrange the furniture, the decorations, add some type of focal point to the fireplace. That way, shifting the furniture helps put more of a focus on the fireplace, so it's not hidden behind furniture or at the back of the room. And then finally, number three was a total fireplace makeover. I've only seen this a couple times, and that was because the firebox in this particular house and the flue were damaged. So depending on how much work you want to put into it, make sure it's done professionally. They're licensed, they're insured, and they have the experience to do it. And whether it is replacing that whole firebox with fire safe materials to get it functional again, or like I mentioned, the client of mine that added a wood burner insert in there, you've got a couple different options with those. And that's just another way to add a decorative piece to the room, is by potentially redoing the fireplace and adding an insert or keeping it wood burning. So I hope that makes sense. I greatly appreciate everybody that submits those questions. Please keep those coming. If you have a question about real estate, you're not sure where to start, I would love to be the real estate resource that you reach out to and think of first. You can submit your questions to me on Facebook, whatever podcast player you're listening to this. If you want to drop it in the comments, those will get to me as well. And I would be happy to answer those, not just for you, but use those for future content just like this one, because the odds are if you have that question or concern about real estate, others are going to have that same question. And I would absolutely love to be able to answer that for you and then continue to use content down the road. So that is going to wrap everything up for this episode of the Hot List. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, whether you are catching me live or listening to your podcast player of choice. Make sure you like, subscribe, so as new episodes come in, you are notified and they're automatically downloaded to your podcast player of choice. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty. I do this because your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Y'all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.